Hello, everybody. Let me get my headset in. Hopefully, you can hear me. I've got the mic on, so hopefully it's working. So, how you doing, Jerry? Come on up if you like. Uh, I've got the thing there. I'm going to pin it right now, so anybody can use it that wants to come in and talk. Whoa, that's the wrong one. uh, let's do this again. What can I say? Hey, Tim. There's the information. Anybody wants to come up can come up. Accidentally pinned Jerry. Hello. I hope you all can hear me. Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks for coming. I don't know what everybody else is doing, but we're glad you're here. And so, Vinny, how you doing? Charmaine? Oh, it looks like Jerry's coming up. Hey, Jerry.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, let me see.
Hey,
Let me
Ann.
see if it stopped raining here. I'll put on the
Crystal?
AKA slippers.
Well, I don't blame you.
It's rain stopped. It was raining about 15 minutes ago.
Yeah. 15 minutes ago, I was just getting around. Julianne,
Yeah,
how you doing, Julianne? We got Mike married to a beautiful woman here. Percy Manazino, Crystal's Adventure, Tim Zoak, Dizek, Julianne Martin. Let's see who all else is here. We got Ann G, Minnie Almedo, Charmaine, Clarice Halos, Larice Jersey, Yen, Aaron Sai. Now, folks, if I'm butchering your name, I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm trying to pronounce it. I don't know how you pronounce it. It is your name. So if you want to come up and tell us how you pronounce it, more than welcome. I'm glad you're here. So Merry Christmas to everybody. We won't be doing this again till just before the new year. Like everybody knows, I just do one a week. I do one live stream on Saturdays. I have a nice 3-day weekend this weekend. I get Christmas off. I think I got to work New Year's, but that's all right. I'm taking Christmas off without pay. I could have took it with pay, but I'm taking it without because I'd have to take a vacation day. I'd just soon have the day off without pay and enjoy myself. And I hope everybody's been enjoying my videos from my trip to New York City.
Did you go to Manhattan? Not Manhattan. Did you go to Times Square?
No, I did not go to Times Square. I was a friend of mine and I went down. We went to Rockefeller Plaza. We went to Chinatown in Manhattan.
Cool.
And but most of my videos were taken right there at Rockefeller Plaza and Fifth Avenue area. I took the pictures of the train ride down, and then I took pictures of the decorations at Rockefeller Center, the skating rink, which has appeared in a few movies. The one I remember best is When Harry Met Sally. If you remember that movie,
Did they do the splash with Tom Hanks and what's her name? Forgot the
Dara
blonde's
Hannah.
name.
Dara
Anna.
Hannah.
Daryl. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one too, but The one I remember because they were skating, uh, uh, and when Harry met Sally, because they lived in New York City. Remember, if you've never seen the movie, it's Billy Crystal and Peg Ryan, I think it is her name.
I haven't seen the movie that I can recall. I don't remember seeing it.
It was
Back in the
when
80s.
it was when they were out walking around the New Year's Eve party, if I remember right. It was around that time there, that New Year's Eve party.
Back in the early 80s.
Yeah, yeah. They had met in college in Chicago, drove out together. That's when they met, was when they drove out from Chicago to New York, and Harry told Sally that they could, men and women couldn't be friends. And then I forget how many years later they ended up being friends, and they became a husband and wife. But I thought it was a pretty good movie. No, Mike, I wanted to, but like I said, it was a very short trip, and I didn't drive down. We took the train from Poughkeepsie and into Grand Central Station, which is in Manhattan, and walked around that area because that's close to Rockefeller Center and Fifth Avenue. We walked up to there, and then we took the train to little Chinatown in Manhattan. Chinatown there.
What is it? The Long Island Railroad?
No, it's unless it's part of it, but I mean it runs from Buffalo all the way down to New York City. Now, where I got on that, it stops in Poughkeepsie. It goes from Poughkeepsie to New York City.
Okay.
I don't think it goes. No, I've taken the Long Island. When I stayed in Jersey, I've taken the train from Jersey over to Grand Central Station as well. But that was quite a few years ago, and that was back when my friend's father was sick, and we went down there and we ran over to.
Those two trikes are waiting for this guy.
LV. Welcome, LV. Merry Christmas. And but yeah, I've been to New York City quite a few times, but I've not been in Manhattan since 9/11. So it's been a long time. Most of the time I'd go down, I'd be in the Bronx or Queens or something like that, because I'd just drive straight down. I wouldn't go into Manhattan. But like I said, we took the train and I went down there to get the pictures of. My main goal was to take some videos of Rockefeller Plaza because if you see the pictures, it's very well decorated. It's gorgeous decorations, I think. And this showed the skating rink, the people skating. And that was my main thing down there. And like I said, we just went down there for a few hours and back up. Now, if I'm going to go down there and really spend some time, I'd want to go down the day, and then spend the night and have 2 days and one night down there. More apt to go to Little Manila then, because I really would like to go to Little Manila. I would like to go there, either there or Times Squares, and go to the Jollibee they have there. They have the Jollibee at both places, and the biggest one's at Times Square, from my understanding. But I've never been to
Jollibee,
so I'd like
Times
to do that.
Square.
Yeah, the largest Jollibee's at Times Square. It's the newest one.
Yeah, that's the one I've seen. Seen a vlogger there from that lives there in that area.
Yeah.
He usually walks all that area, and when it first opened, he was there. Sure, it's expensive, the Jollibee over there versus here.
Yeah. Well, you could judge the difference between the two. I could not do it because I've never been to. The last time I was in the Philippines, Jollibee was not in business. That's back in the 70s.
No, I think they opened in the later 70s, late 70s.
I was there in the mid 70s, and there was no Jollibees in my area. I was there in Subic, and there was no Jollibees. There was no McDonald's at all. I mean, in Subic Bay back in those days. I was there in '74.
What did they have? Carinderias? Is that all
Huh?
they had? The carenderias, the eateries?
I have no videos from back then when I was in the Navy. I did not take movies. Uh, I was not much of a picture taker.
No, that there was. I didn't
But
even
like
own a camera until I was 12 years old.
yeah, but like I said, I was there in the
Or no,
'70s, and there was no McDonald's, there was no pizza places, there was no. And I'm talking about off base. There was no, and there wasn't a McDonald's on base either. There was no
back.
McDonald's, no pizza place, no Jollibees. I don't recall a single American style restaurant in Subic Bay. I do remember the street food and the food stalls and some restaurants, but they weren't American style. Uh, that probably came later.
Yeah, the eateries here.
What's that? Hey,
Yeah,
Des.
the eateries here, Larry, are usually open later. They don't open up early.
Yeah. Well, I was always
Little
out
food
late.
stands.
Yeah. You got to remember, when I was in the Navy, we worked until about 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, depending on the ship you're on. I don't, because I've got off at both times. I don't remember what time it was we got off when I was in San Diego, and on which ship and what time we got off in the Philippines. But I usually got off somewhere between 3 and 4. And I'd go out sometimes that early, but most of the time you stay on base, do a few things on base, maybe stay on the ship, and then go out later in the evening. Hey, Madeline, and we would go out drinking. Like I said, so in the area of the bars, I can guarantee you there was no Jollibee, there was no McDonald's, there was no American style restaurants at all. I did go to a movie theater in the Philippines. Only went once, but it was not too far from the area I usually went to, and there was none in that area either. But this, like I said, this is back in '74 and late '74. I was there in September, October, November. Uh, I got there, yeah, in around September,
Oh,
and was there to almost till November, and then we went to Taiwan. And was supposed to spend Christmas in Taiwan, but I still suspect it was sabotaged by a crew person in a ship that was supposed to go to Japan, broke down in the Philippines. The rumor on my ship was they sabotaged it, and they couldn't go anywhere because they didn't want to go to Japan, and we ended up having to go, and so we had to leave Taiwan, which was to me was a nicer port, friendlier people. Now I like the Japanese people, but let's be honest about it. It was a lot more expensive in Japan than it was in Taiwan. And Taiwan was more expensive than the Philippines. And the most friendly people were the Filipinos, and then it was the Chinese, and then the Japanese, in my experience. Now, I can't say that's the case for everybody. But so we ended up going to Japan. So that was my second Christmas in Japan and my second New Year's. And the thing about Japan compared to Taiwan or the Philippines, whoa, I just lost somebody. The thing about that was Japan gets cold in December. It will snow in December. Now, not like some places here in the States, but it gets cold. Now, Japan and I mean the Philippines and Taiwan doesn't get that cold. I mean, it's a lot warmer, a lot nicer. I'm the kind of person I prefer warm weather. So, excuse me. And so I would prefer to be in those places. And like I said, and it's probably because of the areas I hung out in. Uh, the why the people I found more friendly. Uh, so what can one say? Uh, so Tim, how you doing today? I hope you're doing well. I'm glad to see you here. Don't see Dan yet. I was hoping he would show up as well, but that's all right. And Mike says, please support Dez's little girl, Jasmine, who was out of the hospital for her recovery, which we're glad to hear she's out of the hospital and home for Christmas. We hope she's feeling better, and we will pray for her. I want to ask all of you to pray for Jasmine, and if you can, to support her. So, we do what we can. Yeah, Mike, Jerry's got some pictures up of him taking the trikes. And here he's back. I'm glad to hear you're doing well there, Tim. If you want, come on up and talk. Jerry and I will share the stage with you. Right now, we're just trying to enjoy ourselves. And Jerry, Mike wanted to know if you took the trikes, and he probably wants to know what you thought about them.
Let me get away from the trikes. There's a lot of traffic. I pressed something I pressed something on the phone here, and they dropped the chat. What? I can't see the chat. What did you say, Larry?
Mike was asking, have you taken the trikes yet? And I believe you.
Yeah, I've taken several trike rides, several jeepney rides.
Well, what do you think about the trikes?
Some of them are really low especially I'm only 5'7". Just imagine if I was a 6 foot tall guy. It's just so you cram in like a sardine. But yesterday I got conned from a truck driver. I asked him, okay, where should I take a jeepney to take me to Louisiana, to a city that I went yesterday? He said, oh, I'll take you over there. So, but I had to come back to get something else. So I asked another man. He said, oh, just go behind the Jollibee. And that's right there. I would have saved myself 30 pesos.
Yeah.
He just wanted to make the truck driver wanted to make a profit.
Oh yeah, and that happens. I've taken a cab when I was in San Diego, and I told the guy I only had so much money and not to take the highway. He took the highway.
See.
And when I ran out of money, I told him to pull over. He says, "Well, we're not there yet." I said, "I told you I only got this much money, so you're not getting a tip. Here's the money. I'll pay for the ride, but I'm getting out. I'll find my way back to the base." But that guy was probably thought I was lying to him when I said I only had so much money. Hey, Dodger, how you doing, man?
Yeah, same with a different truck driver. I don't remember where I said, he said, oh, 60 pesos. I said, I only got 50. I'll just walk. He said, no, I'll take the 50. But you bargain over here sometimes.
Well, like I said, I mean, this guy, I was over at the boot camp and A school area, which is where usually the more of the how shall I say it, new guys, the newbies, in the military are at. They're in that area. So I think this guy thought I was a newbie, and he was going to take me for, and then try to get me to pay him more money, even though I didn't have it.
Try to swindle you there.
Yeah, he was trying to swindle me, and like I said, he was Caucasian. So I mean, there's all kinds of people who try to take advantage of you.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was back in the. I might have even been 21. That was probably back before I went to the Philippines, though. So I was probably only 19 or 20, but I'd been in the Navy for a while. And we used to go over there because they had some good bands. That was a different place to go. Before I turned 21, we couldn't drink. In California, we couldn't drink off base if you weren't 21. Now, if I was in Illinois and some other states, I could drink in town and not worry about it.
Yeah.
So, you didn't always want to go to the same bar all the time.
No.
And so I went. They had a good bar and a large crowd of people. So it was something different to do. There were about 3 or 4 bars I would go to. Now, a couple of them I could take the bus to. But that one, it was late and couldn't catch a bus till much later. So I wanted to try to get back to the ship earlier. And the guy tried to take advantage of me. So he probably figured, well, he's a newbie and he's drunk. We'll take advantage of him.
Yeah.
And he got the money I had, and that was it. I got out and walked. And if he'd have gone the route, I think the regular route, which he didn't go because the route I wanted him to go, I still wouldn't have made it to the base. All right, I still would have had to got out, but I would have had a much easier walk back to my base.
Yeah, that more convenient.
I think he thought if he took the highway, I wouldn't get out of the cab. I
Yeah.
threatened to beat the living whatever out of him, and if he didn't pull over because I was getting out. He goes, "We're on the highway." I said, "I don't care where we're at. I'm not going any farther. This is all the money I got. You're not going to." And that was all he got. But yeah, after that, I didn't go over there unless I had a way back or I left in time to catch the bus and not have to take a cab again. And
Yeah, I agree.
that kind of sours you on, on cabs if they take advantage of you too much. And
Double.
we had a cab driver down in Mexico when we went down to Tijuana. 3 of us went, and he tried to charge each one of us for the other guy because we agreed so much money per person. And we went in somewhere, and I came out. And we were going to meet up at this other place and just walk there. And the guy we walked out, and the guy says, "Well, you'll owe this much money." I said, "No, here's my share. You can get it when they come out. They'll be out." And I walked away, went to where we were going to meet up at. I guess the next guy came out, and he tried the same thing with him. Well, he paid my share and his share, but he wouldn't pay the other guy because he was still in there. And when the third guy came out, he paid for all 3 of us. So, cab drivers, not all of them. I'm not saying that because I've taken cabs and got really good treatment, but there are cab drivers everywhere that will try to take advantage of you. Hey, Sammy, welcome. How you doing, Sammy? If you like, come on up. And Sammy's saying Merry Christmas, Jerry, to everyone.
Oh, Merry Christmas, Sammy. I can't see the chat. So
that's why I told you. I know you
yeah.
can't. That's why I told you. I know.
Yeah, amazing.
I know when Ed comes up, Edward D. McDaddy, when he comes up, he can't see the chat either.
Because he's in the cell phone. So he's not able to see.
Yeah, so I always tell him.
Here.
So
hello.
I understand that. So
I need to get these folks off the camera. There's some missionaries.
Yeah.
At night, there's a lot of Christmas caroler kids coming by every night. Yeah,
all right, that's all right, Sammy. Sammy said she's preparing to go back to her home province, but so she can't come up. But
where's Sammy from?
Sammy's from a smaller province. I think. Sammy, are you in Dumaguete right now? She lives in a different province than Dumaguete, but she goes Dumaguete sometimes.
That's her. That's where she's from originally.
No, she's from Negros Island, but not Dumaguete.
Negros and Visayas.
I'm not sure if it's Negros Occidental or Negros Oriental.
I think that's in Visayas, I believe.
Yeah,
I'm not too familiar with.
Yeah, it's in the Visayas.
I'm more familiar with the provinces here in Luzon than over there in Visayas or Mindanao.
She goes, "Yes, I'm in Dumaguete City." Here. All right. Jerry, she says, "Yes, I'm in Dumaguete City," and I go back in Visaya, still part in Dumaguete.
Yeah.
But it's a few miles out. Visayas.
Is Mike still in the? Mike is from Canada, still in the chat.
Mike is still in the chat. Yes, or at least
Hey, Mike. So no roller would enjoy the jeepney rides here. Get your lunch food.
Yeah, Mike. I've not heard anything from Ed. I need to PM him and find out what's going on. He hasn't. Since he was in my chat the last time, I haven't really talked to him. I'll need to get a hold of him.
I think Ed's been ill, right? Has been after his.
Ed was ill, but he was in the hospital for over 3 weeks. He was home, and he got sick. He's going to have surgery on his eyes, so he may be going through that right now. I don't know.
What with the eyes? I thought it was the legs or the.
His legs, but he's also having trouble with his eyes.
Ah. Yeah, I didn't know about the eyes. I knew about the leg problems. That is kind of painful.
Sammy, you've been a great friend to me too. She said she'll be in the background, and she said thanks for the great friendship. Sammy's been really good to me. And,
Yeah, as I was saying, low roller would enjoy the jeepney rides here. Get your lungs full of CO, not of carbon monoxide.
yeah, that's true. There's a lot of carbon monoxide. Uh,
I've had so
so
much carbon monoxide here than I've ever had in my whole life.
well, you got to remember now we have the Cadillac converters and all.
Yeah,
What are they? To help, excuse me. They help cut down on all that stuff. So
yeah, it does, and
it makes our vehicles more expensive, but it also makes the air a little cleaner.
yeah,
And
you don't really see that down in Texas. You don't see, maybe no, not even Houston. I think maybe LA. No, maybe LA is not the same as back in the '80s.
now, what time will you be doing that, Sammy? Sammy said she's going to be doing a quick stream tonight in my time, but it doesn't say what time. Hey, Pinky Gray, welcome. Let me
A whole
give you
bunch
a
of
moderator.
missionaries. I don't know what they're doing.
Now, I don't know how many you know Pinky Gray. She's one of Dan's favorites. She plays a lot of music. At least she used to. She's changed up some. 6:30 or 7 p.m. So that'll be in the morning. All right. If I'm up, I'll try to catch it. On the day I'm working, I'm up. But on my days off, I may be sleeping. So, and tomorrow's the day off. All right, Sammy. Thanks for coming up. And Crystal says, "Enjoy the air pollution, Sir Jerry. Riding the Jeep."
Thank you.
And she
Maraming
got a couple
salamat,
laughing
Crystal.
faces up.
Yes. Can't wait to go back and breathe normal air.
Well, I can't wait to go over there and breathe the polluted air. How's that?
It's good for a month, but I prefer the province life. You don't have all this. And then
uh,
I went to a city, there called Louisiana, like Louis,
uh,
and Anna.
well, like I said,
But
I'm a city boy. I can't help myself.
yeah, but if you pronounce it, it sounds like Louisiana, like the state.
Yeah, but
Starting to rain,
okay,
like drizzle.
that stinks. But like I said, I'm a city boy, but I prefer how should I say this? Small cities or big towns. You
Yes,
know,
big town, small city.
that's
But
what
I
I
don't want to
like.
be in no. I don't want to live in Metro Manila or Cebu
Well,
City.
no, well, I'll give Cebu a try. I mean, you got to remember, I did live in San Diego off and on for a bit, almost 5 years, and I
San Diego,
enjoyed it.
Texas.
No, not San Diego, Texas. San Diego, California.
Yeah, San Diego, Texas is a small town.
Yeah, but San Diego, California is about 3 million people, so
Yeah,
I can handle that. But well, I don't know if I'm going to like Cebu. But I want to try Cebu. Like I said, I want to be near a good hospital, and they got good hospitals. Another place I wouldn't mind trying if I don't like Cebu is Iloilo.
yeah.
I've followed a vlogger there. He's quit vlogging. Tito
Iloilo,
Tim.
that's where Bobsy's in-laws are from, I believe.
I think so. I know he talks about Iloilo, but I used to follow a vlogger there called Tito Tim, which is
No,
Uncle Tim or something like that. And he'd show the river walk and areas like that. And it's a little more laid back than Cebu.
smaller
Yeah, smaller.
population-wise.
Yeah, population wise, and so it wouldn't be bad. Danny from Road to the Philippines tells me he'd like me to go over toward Davao because he lives over in that area. So
So I've
like,
been asked to go. So many people have asked me to go to Mindanao. I said
yeah,
I don't.
like I said, if I go to Mindanao, it's going to be Davao
Yeah,
City. You know, there's a couple other areas that are considered very safe for foreigners, but that's not it. But the thing I got against Mindanao is they get a lot more earthquakes. But the thing I got for Davao City is the 911 system. They have a 911 system. I really like that aspect of it. And there again, it's a lot smaller city than Cebu.
Yeah.
So that is, like I said, the first place is Cebu. If that's not too large, I'll stay there. If I don't enjoy it, then I want to bounce around a couple places. And like I said, Iloilo, Davao, and maybe even Dumaguete are places I'm willing to look at. And if none of those work out, maybe up in Manila area, just not Manila itself.
Yeah, outside.
Yeah, outside Manila. Because, it'd be maybe 20, 30 minutes outside. You can get to the hospital fairly easy. Maybe not real quick, but,
But it's accessible. You don't have to commute hours and hours.
yeah, I want to be near uh, a good hospital that I can go into if I really need to. I mean, if you're having a heart attack, there's a good chance you're not going to make it anyway, unless you
Yeah.
live right next door to a hospital. Uh, I mean, there's a chance you will, but that's why I like the 911 system in Davao.
Yeah.
You don't have to remember any number, but the same number we use here for emergencies.
Yeah, Mexico started implementing that, I think, 2 years ago,
Yeah.
911 as well.
Yeah.
So I
Like
think
I
it
said,
might be universal now, or in some countries.
well, like I said, as far as I know, Davao is the only place in the Philippines that has the 911 system.
Now, okay.
And but hopefully, other places will implement it because it's a
Yes.
very good system. Because all you need is one number. You dial that. You tell them whether it's a fire or police or ambulance, and they dispatch the correct people.
Yeah.
Hey, Melon, how you doing? But Melian is here. Melian, she's here.
And then
She says Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to her. I wish
Yeah,
on the phone you could look at the chat and like on a computer.
yeah. Well, yeah, I understand that. I mean, good. I'm glad to hear you're doing well. Merry Christmas to you and your family. I hope everybody's well. And same thing, Crystal. Tell Mark Merry Christmas for me. He sometimes shows up, but I haven't seen him today. So, yeah, I'm doing quite well today. It's a day off. I've got a 3-day weekend this weekend because where I work at, they close Christmas. It's one of the few days they actually close down. Now, y'all know I'm a security guard, so I've worked many places, even though the employees were off, security had to work. But
Yeah.
here, even security's off for Christmas. They just shut the whole place down, lock it up, and probably the alarm system. So if anybody tries to go in, the police will be called automatically by the alarms.
Yeah, it's set up
So
to.
yeah. So like I said, there won't be any security there, and so that I will go in Monday, probably a little earlier than normal, because they open up, but just before my shift starts, so there's no sense calling somebody in for half an hour to an hour or so. There's just no sense calling somebody in that long. I'll just go in early. And it still is not overtime because, like I said, I just took the day off without pay. I'll end up with about the same amount of pay if you add my 2 weeks together because I worked 4 hours of overtime this past week here. So this week I'll work maybe an hour overtime. So I'll lose maybe an hour by taking the day off as far as pay goes. To me, I'll keep my vacation day for some other time.
Yeah.
I'll give up that little bit of pay, an hour that I have the day off and save that vacation. So, and Meliana, I'm not sure how she pronounces it. Since it's raining where she's at now too.
Yeah, it stopped raining right now here. It's rain here. It didn't rain in Palawan. It didn't
Yeah,
rain when I was in Manila. But in here in Laguna, every day that I've been here, it's rain.
yeah. I can remember it raining pretty good when I was in the Philippines. Back back in '74, but and now the kids, I probably mentioned this before, but the kids were very industrious when I was there. We'd cross the river after you leave the base. You'd cross the river by bridge, And if the weather was decent, there'd be the young kids would be down there on the river in little like canoes or whatever they had, whatever they call
Yes, like a
them.
small bunker boat.
And they would be yelling up, "Hey Joe, hey this," or "Hey," and they you toss down a peso. If they didn't catch it, they dive in the water to get it. I usually didn't toss any money down. Occasionally I would, but there was this one kid. Whenever he was there, I always tossed him a peso because he had a hat that said Larry, and I had to
Ah,
help my brother out. Come on, Larry. I'd
yes,
always toss him one, and he'd yell up, "Hey Larry!"
but
So
that's pretty dangerous though. Tossing a coin in the water.
like I said, I didn't try to make him miss it. I mean, I tried to get it to him,
Yeah,
and if he didn't, he'd jump in and get it.
yeah,
Uh,
kind of
well,
risky and dangerous
yeah,
to risk
but
your life for over a coin.
well, they knew the river. All right. I
Yeah,
mean, it's not like they didn't know the river, so they knew where it was safe to jump in.
yeah,
And also, now if it was raining real hard, probably the same group of kids. It could be a different group, but they'd be there with umbrellas to offer you to walk you to wherever you were going for a couple of pesos to keep you dry. They'd open up the umbrella and walk you. And depending on how hard it was raining, whether or not I would pay, because sometimes even them holding that umbrella, you were going to get soaked. So there was just no sense. But if it had a good chance to keep you halfway dry, you'd give the kid a couple pesos. And
yeah. If it's raining sideways,
yeah, when
you'll
it's raining like that, it was just not worth it.
no.
You were going to
And
get soaked.
I've been blessed this year that no typhoons.
Yeah.
2019, I experienced 2 typhoons here.
Yeah. Uh,
The Chris,
when I was there, we had a typhoon come through that area, and I know I've talked about this before. I was out in town, and when I left the ship, we were told we had 24 hours notice to get back to the ship if the word came back that we had to report back. But when I left the ship, 24 hours, I had to be back within that 24 hours already because it was a Sunday and I had to be back to work on Monday. And I didn't leave till about noon, so I had to be back like at 7 o'clock in the morning to report in for muster and stuff, get ready to go to work. So when I left, I didn't worry about them sending out the word to get back because I was going to have to be back within that time frame anyway.
yeah.
And me, my best friend Chris, we left together. We went out. Now, our girlfriends did not live together, but we ran around together. And so we were out, and remember I told you I went to the movie. Well, that's the night I went to a movie. And they came in, said the word's out, everybody needs to report back to the ship. So we said, okay, no problem. We don't have to be back till the morning anyway. So we just went back and stayed with our girlfriends. And go in the next morning, and I get to base and I get one of these little cabs on base. They have cabs on base there. And I took it to the pier that my ship was at. And I get out of the cab, and there's this small destroyer. Now I'm on a destroyer tender, which is about the size of a small cruise ship, and a tin can's a whole lot smaller than that. A destroyer, we call them tin cans. And so I get out, I walk up towards the tin can, and I look up at the guys on deck there, and I said, "My ship shrunk." And they just started laughing. So I walk up to the ship and go on board, and I tell them who I am, and I said, "Could you at least put me on your log showing that I was here by the time I was supposed to be here?" And then I asked them, "Where do I go? Where do I report in?" And they told me where I had to go. So I got another cab and went to where I had to go. And now I'm on a ship. Like I said, we got about 1,000 people on my ship. Well, over 200 of us missed that ship.
Wow.
Because when we left, we were told 24 hours. They left within less than 12 hours after the word went out. They just beat foot boogie. And I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard that the captain got in trouble for that by the admiral. The admiral did not like the fact that they took off like that.
Yes.
And so I had to go up in front of the XO for missing ship movement, right? Because I wasn't there when they left. And there, like I said, there was over 200 of us. Not a single one of us went beyond the XO. He dismissed charges on all of us. And because, they understood, hey, look, when you left, you had 24-hour notice. You were back within that 24-hour. Well, hey, Dan, how you doing, man?
Yeah, within 24 hours, not within 12 hours.
Yeah. So, that's not our fault. You changed the rules and didn't tell us.
Yeah.
But, yeah, but yeah, then I had to go in front of the XO and stand there in front of him. They asked me what happened. I told him. He said, charges dismissed. Go back to your duties and turn around, walk out, go back and report back for duty. Like I said, that happened to every one of us. We all went back to our post and went back to work. But, oh yeah, it was a trip, man. When the ship pulled back in, there was somebody was standing on the pier waiting on it, waving at the guys that left. Hey, welcome back. We were there for about
Is that George? The bag?
Two.
The bag?
Like I said, we were only there for a couple of days. That day that we got back, and then the next day, late the next day they came back. So we were there only one night, basically. And now some of the guys went back out that night because they were allowed to. Me, I just stayed on base. It's like all my money's on the ship. What am I going to do? I can't go drinking. I can't go get anything to eat. I spent my money on the cabs, when I got back. Hey, Setchbushi, hello. How you doing? Merry Christmas. Setchbushi saying Merry Christmas. So I'm assuming that's how she pronounces it. It's SEC, then BUCI. So yeah, we like I said, I spent almost 3 months total in the Philippines. I was there the first time. It was the same Westpac. Westpac means Western Pacific. The sailors called them Westpacs, the Western Pacific. We pulled in, was there for about 2 weeks. Hold on a minute. And then we left for about a week or so. We went to Okinawa. And we came back and was there for about 2.5 months. And then we left, went to Taiwan. Like I said, there's one ship broke down in the Philippines, which myself and a few others think that was sabotaged by the crew because they didn't want to go to Japan. And we ended up having to go to Japan. And we weren't even supposed to go to Japan that cruise. So I spent 2 Christmases and 2 New Years in Yokosuka, Japan. And I've been to, like I said, I've been to the Philippines. I've been to Taiwan. I've been to Hong Kong a couple different times. Through the 2 Westpacs, I was there almost 2 weeks.
It's a very short time frame. 2 weeks. If you're stationed there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, but not at one. It was like 7 days or 5 days one time, 8 days another. It was 2 different Westpacs. But the total time was about 2 weeks. Hong Kong is what they call an R&R port. R&R means rest and relaxation. You don't do much work. You just do the bare minimum work. So this is the reward for being overseas. All right, take it easy. Here's a place to go shopping. It was a good place to buy clothing and stuff like that. Handmade tailor clothing, tailored to you, was very cheap in Hong Kong. Tailors all
American
over the place.
Style?
Huh?
American style clothing?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They had tailors everywhere, man. Very cheap.
Okay.
You go in there and they'd measure you and you pick out the material and they'd make the suits to fit you.
Cost an arm and a leg over there in the States. Well, now,
yeah, but it was even back then it was a lot more expensive. Like I said, Hong Kong was a cheaper place to buy it. I don't know how many of you know it, but I have a couple tattoos. I got them both in Hong Kong. What can I say? One was if you ask me, it was a mistake. I went in. I was going to get a tattoo, and the one I'm not, it's on my arm. It's the one I wanted to get, but I was in there, and I hadn't got the tattoo yet. And a friend of ours, my friend Chris, my best friend, and I was there, and a friend of ours from Chris's department, he was a storekeeper. I was a ship serviceman. Came in and said, "I'll make you guys a bet. I bet I can pick out a tattoo you won't get, and if you get it, I'll pay for it. If you don't, you pay me the price of the tattoo." Well, he pointed towards just one tattoo. I pointed towards my leg and said, "Right there." I was already drunk, so uh, if I'd been sober, I said, "Here's the $2."
Right.
But I had a little bit too much to drink at that time, so I pointed to a place that nobody's going to see it unless I want them to, and it's still that way. Nobody sees that tattoo unless I want them to. And but like I said, if I'd have been sober, I would not have got that tattoo. But I was young and dumb and
That
drunk.
happens.
Now the
Happens
one on
when
my arm, the one on my arm is the one I went in to get. I ended up getting that the next day, and it's a ship, and underneath it says "Homeward Bound." There's 5 birds above the ship. Stands for each one stands for a port of call. There's 4 flowers underneath it, and each flower stands for a country that I've been to. So it has sentimental value to me. My friend Chris and another friend of ours named we called him Bama. He was from Alabama, but his name was Philip Lamar Alexander. He has the same tattoo. Now he got his. We all 3 got that tattoo on different cruises. Chris got his first. I got mine second, and Bama got it on a different cruise, and he got it because I had it and Chris had it. He was a good friend of ours,
yeah.
and but he got it on a cruise that I wasn't with him. I got transferred off the ship just before that cruise. I That was my mistake. I extended for a year, and what I should have done was extended for the Westpac and made a third Westpac. I would have loved to have made the third one, but I never did. So I enjoyed going overseas. I found it fascinating. I actually slept very well out at sea as long as the weather wasn't too bad. I've been in some bad weather, 30-foot swells, and weather. Oh yeah, I mean, we were out to sea. It was on my second Westpac. We were out to sea. Was it second or was it the first? Maybe it was the first one. But anyway, we were in the Straits of Japan, and so it could have been either one. I mean, like I said, I went to Japan twice, and we were in 30-foot swells.
I would
And
need some kind of a Dramamine to help me out there.
but in that kind of weather, unless the work is absolutely necessary, you stay in bed. You don't get up and walk around. Like I said, there are some people who have to. I mean, there's guys that have to, keep the engines going. There's guys that have to do some other things that has to be done. And then the cooks, but the cooks don't cook. All you get in that kind of weather is cold, cold cuts and stuff like that. They might do some hard boiled eggs, but they're not
Well,
starting over a hot stove and stuff. And see, I worked
I
in
would,
the laundromat. Well, you couldn't work in that kind of weather because your presses were 400 and some degrees. If they took a bad road and tossed you into one, you're burned real bad. So it's a
yeah.
job that did not need to be done. So you didn't work. What you would do, like I said, for those of us the job wasn't necessary, that had to be, done right now, that couldn't wait. We just we had the day off, but you didn't enjoy it because, like I said, in 30-foot swells, you're not walking around having to, laughing and giggling. You're trying to avoid to get tossed into bulkheads, which is what the ship's walls are called bulkheads. And but anyway, one of the swells knocked the porthole which is a round thing that you like a window, but you dog it down to
Yeah.
keep the water. And it was so bad it busted the porthole open, and water come into the compartment. And one of the guys I worked with had just walked away from his locker, and the ship took such a bad roll, the locker fell over. If he'd still been standing there, I don't think it'd have killed him, but he'd have been hurt pretty good.
Yeah.
So he was lucky that he got away from the locker before that happened. And then we had to get up and re-dog down that porthole so more water didn't come in. Then we had to clean the water up before you go, because you didn't want that sloshing all over the place. And yeah, so that was loads of fun. But yeah, like I said, I've been in some rough weather, and it's not much fun in rough weather. But if the
No.
weather's not bad, I enjoy sleeping at sea, especially if you can get what I call midship, which is what everybody calls it. It's the middle of the ship. It's called midship. If you ever take a cruise, go try to get midship. And the reason for that is that the middle of the ship is always in the water. I mean, the bow may come out, the stern may come out, but the midship stays in the water unless the water is really rough. And it'll just rock you to sleep. It's a very, in good weather, it just, I never slept better than midship. Just like rock you right to sleep and very comfortable sleep to me. So now, not everybody likes, not like I said, not everybody likes being in something that moves, but like flying bothers some people. Or I have a friend who gets motion sickness if they're not in the front seat of a vehicle.
I remember that when I was a kid.
Yeah, I got.
But
And if they're taking the train, they got to be facing forward. They can't be facing backwards.
you can't. You gotta. I've never been in a train, but I would probably agree there.
Yeah.
I'm a visual person. I want to be able to see, look at the window, look outside.
I'm the kind of person, I've never gotten seasick or motion sickness at all. Even in, like I said, even that 30-foot swell. But I didn't get up and walk all over the place either. I stayed in bed. And I would lay on my stomach, and you put your arms and legs, you spread them out a little bit to help so you're not rolling all over the place. And help balance yourself when the ship was rocking, But yeah.
Rock the boat.
Yeah, rock the boat, baby.
Yeah.
Well, the third ship I was on was a LST, and she was flat bottom. Now, LST has only one purpose in life, and that is to run herself aground, open up her tail gate, and let the aqueducts, which is the Marine's amphibious transportation. Hey, Jaylene, amphibious transportation, they drive off the back of the ship into the ocean. It pops down, goes underwater, pops back up. They drive around and then can drive up on the beach. It does both water and land. The front end opens up, and the ramp comes out, and the Marines will drive their Jeeps and stuff off the front of the ship onto the land and keep going that way. And then when you run yourself aground, you drop your anchor out in the ocean and then run yourself aground. That's why you have a flat bottom, so you can run yourself aground. And then you use the wrench, the anchor wrench, to wrench yourself back off the beach and then take off. Now, in actual combat situations, an LST is expected to make 1.5 beach landings. By that, I mean you're expected to get in twice and out once. And so, it really is. It's not. Now, they've not really done any beach landings probably since early Vietnam. And I don't think they did in Vietnam, did it really under enemy fire where they did in World War II. But we still had to practice that. And that was no fun at all. Like I said, I never got seasick, but we went off the coast of San Diego. 27 days. I could see the lights of San Diego every night. In 27 days, I could be in the Philippines. I could be in Japan. I could be anywhere in the Western Pacific. Korea, anywhere. I could be anywhere in 27 days. In 27 days, all I did was sit off the coast of San Diego and play war games. And the only good part that came out of that, if you ask me, have you ever watched the movies where the SEALs get picked up, high speed pickups in the ocean, where they drive it with a high speed boat and they grab them with a horse collar or actually a horse collar that goes around the horse when they plow a horse. They use that to grab the guy and flip him into the boat and keep going. They don't even stop. We got to watch them practice that one day. And what happens if they miss them? They keep going. Then they go back and pick them up. Because in real combat situation, they leave them. That's why they practice it so much. And we tossed a cargo netting like thing. If you ever watch Sands of Iwo Jima with John Wayne, how the guys climbed up, climbed over, and climbed down the cargo netting. Well, we tossed that over the side so they could climb up, come on board the ship to take a break from practicing the high-speed pickups, and they ate their lunch on our ship. And so it was fun being able to watch that. But like I said, 27 days at sea, man, that was like, and you could see the coast, see the lights of San Diego every night. It's just like, oh man, this stinks. I mean, like I said, I could have been in the Philippines. I could have been in Japan. I could have been in Taiwan. Hong Kong, Korea. I mean, could have been in any one of those places, and here I am just sitting off the coast of San Diego. That was heartbreaking. And that's the only time I was out to sea I really didn't like it. Because we didn't go anywhere. I didn't mind traveling by sea at all. I did not mind that. Because, like I said, you're spending time with the guys you work with, you live with, real well. You actually bond pretty well out to sea because you either get along or you don't. And so, and like I said, when you're working with people, let's be honest about it. I'm a white American male that lived in a state that was a city that was mostly white and black. So that's pretty much all I knew was white and black people. Here I worked and lived and slept and partied and drank with Filipinos, Mexicans, Native Americans, Eskimos, and I got to know a much more drastic, different backgrounds of people, and I enjoyed it. And that's one thing I really, really enjoyed was all the getting to know different people and finding out we're pretty much all the same. And you don't always see that on a day-to-day basis when you don't spend time with other people. Which I lived in an almost all-white neighborhood. A few blocks away was some black kids, but they seemed to stick to themselves. We seemed to stick to ourselves.
Yeah.
So, and there's a couple neighborhoods I lived in that was nothing but white, like if you ever watched my video on Before I Was Lazy Larry, where I talk about how I went to 6 different elementary schools, one of them twice. I lived in 18 houses by the time I was 13. I was about 12 years older, so when I finally moved into the last house until I went into the Navy, and that was about 18 of them. And so I lived in a lot of different neighborhoods. I was born in Lafayette, Indiana, raised mostly in Terrell, but I lived in Casey, Illinois. And
really can't adapt. Can't really, as a kid, you can't really enjoy life because you're moving every time.
Well, you get close to your family. Let me tell you that much. You get really close with your family because no matter where you went, there was your family. So you learned that you could count on each other. So my family is probably a little closer than some other American families. What can I say? And then, like I said, from the time I was like 12 until I went in the Navy, I lived in one neighborhood, one house. Now, when I went into the Navy, before I left for boot camp, my dad had put the house up for sale, so I knew they were going to sell the house. And while I was in boot camp, my parents sent me a letter saying, here's the new home address, here's the new phone number. And this is why I'm in boot camp. So,
Wow.
but I knew they were moving before I went in. So, it was but it was nothing new to me.
No.
On my own, I've lived out here now. I've lived out here quite a bit. I've lived out here in New York State now for 25 years. I've probably lived in 9 or 10 places since I've been out here. And I lived in a couple different places after I got out of the Navy before that, back in Indiana. So, well, I don't plan on moving again until I retire. I plan on staying right here. Now, when I lived in Leroy, the last time I was in Leroy, I lived there for almost 15 years. So that's as long as I'd ever lived anywhere in my entire life. All right. As long as I ever lived in one house my entire life. And I don't know if I'll ever break that record. Well, I'm going to be here about 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years, 6 at the most. I've been here since 2001. So 2001, 2002, 2002 to 2003, 2003 to 2004. So in March, it'll be 3 years here. I plan on working in about another 3 years, so about 6 years. And then I'm hoping to be able to move to the Philippines at that time. And so that's what we're looking at. And like I said, I don't hide that. I'll be completely out of debt in a year, outside of my car and my living expenses.
Yeah.
I'm talking about my other debts will all be paid off in a year. And then I'll be saving money up for retirement. And so that'll be about 2 years. Unless something happens, I may have to go another year or two after that for some other reason. Like I said, I'm not going anywhere if my mother's still alive. But if I'm still here after that, that means she lived past 100, or something came up that I couldn't go for some other reason.
Yeah.
But like I said, my mom will be 98 in January. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, my mom's up there. I don't expect her. I don't expect her to hit 100, but I'm not saying she won't. You
can't never know.
That's what I said. That's why I was saying. I figured 3 years, that'll be probably longer than she lives. But I'm not. If she's still alive, I'll keep right on working because I'm not going anywhere. Out of country until after she passes. I don't want to be morbid about it, but I want to be able to be there if she needs me, or be able to make it home before she passes if I can. Because even right now, it's going to take me half a day to get there driving.
Yeah.
And
I'd be happy if I live up to 60.
Yeah. But
55.
I'm well past 60.
Yeah.
I'm well past. Well, it depends on what you call. Compared to my mom, I'm not well past, but I'm 70.
Yeah.
I already lived longer than I thought I'd live. I've already outlived both my brothers and my father. And
yeah, I'm only 49.
Yeah, I won't count my one brother because I never met him. He died. They never was able to bring him home from the hospital.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, and that I was just a baby, so I don't remember that at all. So like I said, I never knew him. I was alive. He was younger than me, but I was only like 2 years old or so. He never made it home. I don't recall that. My mother told me that, and I always heard she had a miscarriage, but from the way she talks, it's more like either a stillbirth or he died after birth, but he never made it home. So, it was, and I know she was depressed for a long time after that. And
like any mom would.
Well, I don't remember it as much, but I remember it from family members. My oldest sister was like a mother to me during that time frame. She's the one that changed my diapers. She's the one that took care of me when she came home from school. My dad was a cross-country truck driver. Well, he came off the road and took a job driving local so he could be home every night and not home on the weekends to help out with my mom and the family because she was so depressed. And then after my little brother was born and made it home, my father went back cross country and my mom was in a much better headspace. And then my little sister came along, and like I said, it was a lot better. But if my one brother had lived, there would have been 4 boys and 4 girls. Instead, there was 4 girls and 3 boys. That's the way I was. And there's 18 years difference. Well, lacking like 16, 17 days being 18 years difference between the oldest and the youngest.
It's
And
similar to my mom's siblings. It's a
yeah,
huge 2 decade gap
yeah.
from the
Oh,
oldest to the youngest.
yeah. Well, my dad had a big, large age gap in his family. I don't know how much, but there was 8 kids in his family. There was 2 girls. The 2 girls were the oldest. And then there was 6 boys. And my
It's
dad had my dad had a couple brothers younger than him. So I
the oldest graduating high school and the youngest being a few months old, something like that.
my oldest sister graduated from high school right after my youngest sister was born.
See,
Yeah, like I said, there's almost 18 years difference between them.
yeah, it's a huge gap there.
Yeah. Well, my cousin George, he only has 3 kids, and there's a huge gap between the oldest and the youngest. And but they didn't think they were going to have after the second kid. They didn't think they were going to have any more. They tried and didn't happen, so they figured out we're done. 2 kids, boy and a girl. And I want to say there's 11 years difference between the youngest of the 2 older ones and the youngest one, but it might have been the oldest and the youngest. But at least 11 years difference between the oldest and the youngest, if not more than that. I want to say it's more than that. And there's quite a bit of difference between theirs. But like I said, they tried to have one earlier and it didn't happen. So they thought, well, we're done. We're not going to have any more kids. And
Check that out, Larry.
yeah,
You don't see that in the States. Get little toddler riding on the bike, a
wasn't
scooter.
wasn't that 3 people on that?
Yeah, it's 2 adults and a little toddler.
Yeah, that's
It's
what I thought. That's what it looked like.
surprisingly, because you don't see that, or it's not allowed in the States to begin with.
You don't see that in the States.
No.
You might see 3 people on a motorcycle, but it's going to have a sidecar with it.
Yep.
That's
But here,
that's
you get the
common in the Philippines.
little kids, 3-year-old kids, or even infants on a scooter, on a motorbike.
They're usually in between the 2 parents. Yeah. Tim says his neighbors are setting up the videoke now.
The karaoke is tired of
Yeah.
hearing that when I walk just a few blocks away from here.
Well, like I said, that's one of the things about the province life. You're going to hear that a lot. And I don't. That's their entertainment. Like this is my entertainment right here.
I'd rather hear a rooster.
Yeah.
I'd rather hear the rooster, Tim.
I don't know. Depends on how close the karaoke is to me.
Yeah.
If it's far enough away that I can still hear it, but it's not blaringly loud, I'd rather hear it. I'd rather hear it. I'd rather hear people singing and having a good time. Because eventually I'll go to sleep to that. And I'd eventually go to sleep to the roosters too. I think for me, if it's not right next door and it's not super loud, it would be easier to get used to the singing for me. I used to leave a radio. I used to leave a radio on and go to sleep with the radio playing music. So that wouldn't bother me as long as it's not blaringly loud.
Yeah, I just at a medium level, not low, but not.
Yeah,
like you said, not
loud enough that you can hear what they're saying and singing and hear the music, but not so loud that it's shaking your walls.
Yep.
I used to go to sleep with the TV on. I used to go to sleep with the radio on. I don't anymore, but I used to do that when I was younger, so I could get used to that fairly easy, I think. And so
yeah, I agree.
But like I said, I'm a city boy. I'm not used to roosters crowing and stuff like that. He's awake. The dog's awake. He's not trying to take a nap. He's not very energetic, but he's awake. Hello. How you doing?
Yeah, the cow.
Yeah.
The pain in the ass. The female one, the other one, that one really craves a lot of meat, especially when you're eating.
Oh yeah.
I'll give them
friend of
little
mine,
pieces of it.
a friend of mine used to have a husky or a Malamute, and whenever I was over their place eating, he'd come up and sit right beside me and beg for food. And
Too hot here for a husky. Even too hot in South Texas for a husky.
oh yeah, they got a lot. Yeah, they're a cold weather dog. But you got to remember,
Yeah,
I'm in New York. You
yeah.
know,
See, you have 4 seasons over here. In Texas, and even here in the Philippines. Well, Philippines only has 1 season,
no, they got
but
two: wet,
it's
wet and
the
dry.
wet and the wet and dry.
They
Back
got
home we
two
have
seasons.
spring, or we have the summer and somewhat winter.
Uh, but no,
Yeah, when
I'm used to 4 seasons, although I prefer one or
yeah,
two. I do not like winter.
I
Uh,
prefer the just summer.
I prefer if I could choose just one season, it'd be summer.
And I
Uh,
see these folks wearing
now, you see,
windbreakers and jacket sweaters.
yeah,
Terry.
see the kind of shirt I'm wearing right here. I'll wear a
Yeah,
shirt like this. I'll wear a shirt like this in the Philippines.
long
Uh,
sleeve.
oh, it's very. This shirt is actually a very thin shirt, a very light, but it's one of these shirts is like if you're like it's like you're wearing sunscreen.
No,
It's one
okay.
of those kind of shirts, and because of my predisposition to getting skin cancer, this is the kind of shirt I'd wear. Although I wouldn't wear ones with collars too much, but the swim shirts I'd wear a lot. I'd have a couple of these as well, which I have here. I have a couple of these here for the summer if I have to go somewhere that maybe requires you to be a little more dressed, that I can wear them. And then I have a few, probably about 5 or 6 swim shirts that I wear as t-shirts, or shirts. I don't go swimming that much, so but they're
Look at that
sunblock
priority.
shirts.
They call them slippers. It's so
Yeah,
weird because I'm not used to a flip flop being called a slipper.
yeah. Well, we always called them shower shoes when I was in the Navy. That's what we wore to take our showers in.
Yeah,
I still wear flip flops to take a shower. That's the only thing I wear flip flops for. When I say flip flops, that's the one that's got the little thing that goes between your toes.
yeah, the flip flop or the
The others are sandals.
sandals.
But,
Yeah, the other ones are sandals.
yeah,
But over here, everything
yeah,
is basically a slipper.
yeah. But I wear the flip flops. I have a couple pair and I use them for showers. One I have set up to take with me wherever I travel. It's in my travel bag, and the other one's in my bathroom. So whenever I take a shower, I put my flip flops on, my shower shoes. And back when I was in the Navy, they were really cheap. In the Navy, they've gotten a lot more expensive compared to what they were back in the 70s.
Yeah,
And
we're just still cheap here compared to the States.
yeah, well, I'm talking about it in the States too. I mean, they're getting a lot more expensive here.
Yeah,
But I always we always bought them and wore them as shower shoes because yeah, you clean the floors and the shower stalls and everything. But if you got in behind somebody that had uh, you know what I'm thinking of,
yeah.
not jock,
Athlete's foot.
yeah, thank you, athlete's foot.
Yeah,
And you're barefoot, well, you're going to get it. Now, if you're wearing your own
yeah.
shower shoes every time, you don't have to worry about it. And like I said, I never wore shower shoes until I went into boot camp, and they had us buy them for that reason. And
For
what the heck's going on here?
sanitary reasons.
Yeah, and I got used to it. It's like before I went in the Navy, I always preferred baths. I used to love to take a bath. And after I got out of boot camp, went home, took a bath, and it's like, that was enjoyable just to sit there and relax, but I don't feel as clean as I do as if I take a shower. I
Yeah,
feel
I
much
prefer a
cleaner
shower.
taking a shower. Now, a bath, I like if I'm sore. You go in there and you just soak your muscles, and that's good. But not to take a bath and get clean. I prefer, and then if I do get in there and soak because I want the heat to soak the muscles, I end up taking a shower afterwards. To get all that
Yeah,
stuff off of me. But the only reason I would fill the tub up and soak is because I was sore, and it's good for the muscles to relax them. And so I would do that. Now, Tim, you said your neighbors are setting up. Are you going to go over and join them if you're still here?
Gonna drink a Red Horse, San Meg Light.
Mine'd be San McGill, painted label.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't drink alcohol, so I know they're gonna be drinking alcohol a little bit late this evening.
Yeah. Well, when I was there, San McGill was the normal beer that we drink. I don't even know if they had Red Horse. They might have, but I didn't know anybody that drank Red Horse back in those days. Don't recall anybody drinking it. And you had painted label, and you had the regular pill off label.
Yeah.
And most of us drink painted label. And like I said, now a lot of the guys would get a case of the painted label. Either they drank it or somebody else drank it, but they'd get a hold of it. And there was a guy you could take it to who was a glass cutter. And he'd take 12 of them and cut the tops off and glue them to the bottom and make wine goblets out of them.
Wow.
And then the other 12 would be like a mixed drink glass. But you could always see the painted label. So that's why they did it. Because it'd be cut off above the painted label. So it'd be a souvenir from the Philippines.
Yeah.
I was going to do that, and I didn't do it. I wish I had. But with knowing my luck now, they'd all be broke. A lot of the wine goblets that the bottom the glue would come undone and they'd come off the bottom. But you could always, if you knew what you were doing, you could probably re-glue those.
Yeah.
As long as you didn't break anything. But yeah, and they would round the glass out so there would be no rough edges. They'd all be smooth, and they, I don't know a lot of cost to guys, but that would have been a nice souvenir.
Yes, it would.
You're telling me, Tim, that they no longer have painted label? Like I said, when I was in that's what we all drank was painted label. It was San McGill, and it was painted on the bottle. And so the pill, like the label that you could peel off, we didn't drink that when we drink painted label. Now, when I finally do, hopefully it's not too long from now, but it may be a while before I make it back down to New York City. But when I do make it down to Little Manila, I think there's a place down there that sells San McGill. I'll probably buy a 6-pack. And if they have the painted label, I'll come on here and show the painted label. I don't drink really by myself. I haven't had a beer in 3 or 4 years, maybe more. Because like I said, I don't drink by myself. I don't drink and drive, so I'm not going to drive to a bar, have a drink, and come back home. I'm just not going to do it. And all my friends around here, nobody drinks. So it's just like, there's no sense me having beer here at the house because nobody's going to come over and drink it. And I don't like to drink by myself.
Yeah.
And
there's a guy that delivers water.
Yeah.
He's almost done with his route because it's almost empty.
It didn't have too many left.
No, we only had 3 containers.
Bottles. Yeah, 3 containers. 3 5-gallon containers, it looked like.
Yep.
Tim says he will not go next door for the video. I know you can't see that, Jerry, so I'll tell you. Says he's not going to the next door to sing, and he has never seen a painted label beer. So that's why I was saying when I make it down to Little Manila, see there's places either in Little Manila or over in Jersey. They got a large Filipino population down in that area that sells San McGill. Last time I had a San McGill, I was in San Diego, California, at the Filipino American Club, which is only like a block away from where I was living at the time. And I've told that story, I think, before too, about my car. And but I went over there, and they told me it was all right if I came over and could get a beer once in a while. So I did. And they had San McGill, so that's what I would drink. Because back then, I would drink by myself. This is back when I was 21, 22. I was a pretty hardcore drinker back in those days. Let's be honest about it. I was drunk. But I wasn't an alcoholic. I mean, but I was a drunk. I would drink almost every day I didn't work. But I was, that was something that was fairly common with a lot of enlisted people uh, that were single. Now, the married guys didn't do it as much, but the single guys, well, our form of entertainment was going to the bar, either on base or out in town, chasing the women, getting drunk, going to
Yeah.
movies, stuff like that. That was our form of entertainment, because except for the religious guys, and they would go to church and stuff. My older brother was one of the religious guys. He didn't drink. He would go to the church and do things with the church and all that. But like I said, if you weren't into that, well, what else are you going to do? You can't go to the ball game every day. You might go once in a while, but that only took a few hours. Same thing if you went
Yeah.
to the zoo, that was only a few hours. So what are you going to do the rest of your day off?
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, you go to a movie. What's that? An hour or two? A couple hours?
Yep. At the
So
most. And
yeah, yeah. So we went drinking a lot, and so like I said, as I got older, I started slowing down. I did the same thing when I first got out of the Navy. I was still drinking a lot, and it took me a while, but I finally started slowing down, and now I drink very little. Like I said, I hadn't had a drink in 3 or 4 years, maybe 5 years. Hey, we got Tim coming up. Hey, Tim, how we
Yeah,
doing?
good. I'll be back in just a second.
All right, go ahead.
Tim's coming up, and I'm getting ready to go eat
Uh,
breakfast.
where
I'm
you
gonna
go?
get ready for breakfast.
Uh, yeah, it's almost lunchtime there, buddy.
9:24 here.
Yeah, that's what I said. It's almost lunchtime.
Well, it's a late breakfast.
Yeah. Well, I do. I usually eat a couple hours after I get up, so I just usually wait till lunch
Yeah.
and have lunch. Now, sometimes it
I,
might be a breakfast, like a breakfast sandwich or something, but it's usually at
yeah.
lunch.
When
I usually eat somewhere around 11, and then I go to
yeah.
bed
So
around
I
6.
agree. I'm out of here, Larry. I'm
All
gonna
right,
go
Jerry. Thanks for
right now.
coming up. We appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, man. We'll be back next Saturday. We'll talk. Now, will you be home by New Year's?
Yes. Hopefully, I'll be working
All right. Will you be home by next Saturday?
next Wednesday.
Okay, then we'll see you on Saturday, hopefully.
Okay, we'll see you.
All right. Merry Christmas,
Take
Jerry.
care, Jerry.
Hey, Tim. Tim, take care. Merry Christmas.
So, how you doing there, Tim?
Oh, good. I'm doing pretty good.
That's
But I
good.
figured
Ball
I'd
humbug, huh?
yeah.
Okay. Surprised you don't have a Grinch mask.
I have one. I just don't know where it is.
Okay. Because it was ball humbug, the Grinch mask would go real good with that. But
I mean that's still one of my favorite Christmas songs. Thurl Ravencroft singing "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch."
oh yeah, I remember that one. But
But I figured I'd stop up.
Stunk. Remember that? Stink, stank, stunk. That's part
I
of the
figured
song.
I figured I'd stop up and let everybody know who I am.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Because I don't think I've been live on yours.
No, you've not been live on mine. I think you might have been on Dan's, but you've never been up here on mine. So we
I've been on
appreciate you
Dan's,
coming.
I've been on Sammy's.
Yeah. Like I said, we appreciate you coming up. Now, if I would grow my mustache, we look almost like brothers, except you'd be the thin one and I would be the fat one.
Well,
I used to have a goatee like yours, but I use a CPAP, so sometimes that interferes with the seal on the nasal pillow. So I always have to keep that real short. So I just ended up shaving it off and go with just the chin whiskers.
I understand that.
Yeah, and Crystal said she wanted to see me grow my beard because I look like Santa Claus. My whole beard's white. There's not, as you can see, there's no gray there. That's white. The only color is in the mustache. The beard itself, all the beard is white. I get that from my mom's dad. He had snow white hair. He had snow white hair when he was in like mid 40s or early 50s, somewhere there. His hair went snow white. And I don't know about his beard because he never grew a beard, but his hair was snow white, no
Well,
gray whatsoever.
the crazy thing is, my father had gray hair when he was 16.
That is crazy. I know a guy that was bald at 16, but that's because he had scarlet fever. And actually, he was younger than that, so he could grow a beard because he had scarlet fever before his beard ever started growing. But he had no eyebrows and no hair and a very thin beard. I mean, so he didn't grow the beard, but he was able to grow some facial hair. And I forget how young he was, but he was really young when he got the scarlet fever, which kills your hair molecules. And there's a guy I was in the Navy with. I can't remember his name right now. That you got to remember. I got out of the Navy. Oh God, over 40 years ago. Over 40 years ago.
Well, I knew a man in my hometown in New York. He retired the 1st of January, 1960.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing was, he had an apartment before he went in 1940, and he paid rent on that apartment for 20 years when he wasn't there. And when he came back, his apartment rent was only like $4 a month. Heat and electric, water, gas, everything was included.
Well, they hated him.
And they honored it
Oh yeah.
when he came back, you know.
Because they hated him though. You're talking
And
about.
he
Go ahead.
retired as an E5.
I had a friend that retired as an E4. Okay, in the Navy, when you go in, you can stay in as long as you P&A a test, pass but not advance. Okay, you had to make E5 to change rates. Well, we were both ship servicemen. They've since closed down the ship servicemen. Now they're all storekeepers because they can never keep enough storekeepers, and they always had too many ship servicemen. Now, when I was in, it was open enough that if I'd have stayed in, I could have made E5, maybe even E6. But we were in together. He got out for a few years and then went back in and had to make it back up to E4. By the time he did, the rate closed up for E5. And in the Navy, everybody that's a ship serviceman that's an E4 competes for the same E5 spot that's open. No matter where you're at, there's like, let's say there's 5 E5s. Doesn't matter where you're at in the world. You're competing for everybody that's an E4 going for E5 competes for the same 5 spots. So it's the top 5 that get advanced. If there's that many, sometimes there's not even that many. And so he kept P&A in the test, which means pass but not advance. As long as he P&A'd the test, they wouldn't kick him out. So he did 20 years, never got above E4. And every time he took the test, he P&A'd it. And he retired, oh God, over 20 years now. I'm trying to say, he retired sometime about 25 years ago, maybe.
The last time I tested for E5, I didn't make it. I had the number 1 slot, or the number 2 slot worldwide for my AFSC,
Yeah.
and they only promoted 1 person worldwide.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah. Was you Navy or Air Force or?
I was Air Force.
Okay, because I don't know how the Air Force does it. My cousin George made E5, but the Army does it a little different than the Navy does it. But he was a tank commander in Germany, Bob Holt in Germany. But in the Navy, from Now, anybody that takes the test for E3, you pass it, you got E3. No problem. That's just take the test, pass it, and everybody gets E3. Then E4, you start competing for the slots that are open. I took my E4 test. I had a superior, a low, I think it was, and then 4 excellents. There's like 6 parts to the test. Superior means top 10%, low means bottom 50%, excellent means top 30% or 20%, something like that. So my score was 120 something. You only needed 60 something to pass the test. All right. It took me 3 months after having a score that well to get advanced. It was starting to close up a little bit, and but like I said, I did make it and got advanced. I never did take the E5 test. I got out. I made E4 twice. You know how that happens, right? You
Well,
get busted once.
I never lost any rank,
I
but
lost-
when I went up, after the last time I tested for E5 and I missed it, I was the second person in line. They only took the first.
yeah.
And then I got forced out of active duty due to high year tenure. Couldn't go over 10 years as an E4.
Well, see, the Navy,
I-
as long as you P&A'd the test, they let you. He did 20 years as an E4.
Well, things have changed
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Well, you're
But-
a little younger than we are.
But, that was due to government budget cuts and all
Oh,
this and that.
Oh yeah, I was forced out because of my weight. All right. Now this is back in the 70s. This is after Vietnam ended, and they were looking for ways to cut down the workforce, the military. Now before, when Vietnam was going on, I was only considered a few pounds over. Nobody messed with me. But then Congress decided at the end of Vietnam, we're going to go. Your height, your age and build no longer matters. It's your height only. And so I went from maybe 5 to 10 pounds overweight to over 40 pounds overweight because they no longer considered your build and your age. And so I was forced out that way. So I was given a medical discharge of being overweight. And,
Well, see now, me, I'm on the light side. They almost forced me out for being underweight.
yeah. But yeah, I knew a guy that was almost forced out for being overweight, and he was almost ready to retire. So he started taking laxatives all the time so he could lose weight to get that last enlistment in, which he made. And then it was only a couple more years, and then he was retiring. And he was at the last place he was going to be at, the last base. Him and his wife and kids, they bought a house in that area. He bought a bar. So they were getting ready to settle down, but he wanted to do that last 2 years and get his retirement. And they were talking about kicking him out because of weight. So like I said, he started taking laxative to get the weight off, got the weight off, and got re-enlisted. But yeah, they were really, after Vietnam, they were really looking for ways to get rid of people.
And once I went in the reserve, get this, I separated on the 7th of, no, I separated on the 12th of June because of high year tenure.
Yeah.
Half an hour later, I was raising my hand in my new unit in the reserves on the other side of town.
Yeah.
So I lost about an hour's worth of active
Seniority.
time.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I separated on October 16th, 1978. That was a Monday. Now, the Navy's birthday is October 13th, which was a Friday. And you remember the Johnny Paycheck song, Take This Job and Shove It?
Oh, yeah.
I bought that 45 album and put it on the enlisted men's jukebox. And that's where the party was at. The officers and everybody was at the enlisted men. I was at a base of 110 people. There were maybe 10 officers at that. So we're having the Navy's birthday party. and got up, put the money in during the band's break, and every enlisted man got up and sang that song. We all got up and just sung along with the song. Take this job and shove it. I ain't a working here no more.
I can understand that.
But I enjoyed the Navy. I really did. I had a blast. I wish I could have stayed and did 20 years, but it didn't work out that way.
Well, when I joined the reserves, they had it where you couldn't go over 14 years, if I remember right, as an E4. I had a supervisor that slipped in paperwork to get me E5, and then I had like 3 months to accomplish all the stuff I needed for E5.
Yeah.
Got that, and you know, I was an E5 for what, 4 years. Then, for some reason, somebody in my unit was looking at the E6 after 15. You know, it's an automatic promotion.
Okay.
And they were using my office looking this paperwork up, and they left it on my desk wide open. I looked at it. I walked in, picked it up, took it to our chief, our E9.
Yeah.
I said, Chief, do I qualify for this? He goes, how long you been in? 16 years and a month. Got it. She called me up.
Sweet.
She
So
called,
did you retire as an E6?
yeah.
Okay.
She called me up a couple of days later, and she goes, you better come in so you can get your stripes and get your uniforms docked all taken care of before.
Yeah. Now I do have a question. Now, what do they call the E6 in the Air Force?
That is a technical sergeant.
Tech sergeant?
Yes.
All right. Now, see, in the Navy, that would be first class. Now, I was a third class, which is E4. E5 is a second class. E6 is first class. E7 is a chief petty officer. E8 is a senior chief. E9 is a master chief. And like I said, I was an E4, third class petty officer. But that's as far as I went. But I did over 6 years. I was over 6 years in the Navy. Active duty. I did over 6. And,
But
huh?
Normally in the reserves, you only get promoted one of two ways. A slot opens up because somebody transferred bases or somebody died.
Yeah.
And if that didn't happen, guess what? You didn't get promoted.
Yeah. I didn't go reserves. I thought about it, but I thought, if I'm not going to do it full time, I don't really want to do it. I didn't want to do 1 weekend out of the month and 2 weeks out of the summer. And there again, I should have. But you look back on the things, the decisions you make, and you can see, well, if I'd have done that, this would have happened, and right now I'd be better off as far as retirement goes. My little sister worked for the welfare department. She tried to get me to work for them. I had a job that paid about as much money, wasn't near as much of a headache, but it wasn't as good benefits. And I thought, I don't want to do that. If I did that, I could have retired at 55, had a much better retirement plan, a much better medical plan. But like I said, you look back on things and you see what you did wrong. But I can't begrudge anybody that did better than me. They made better decisions. What I did, my choice is not theirs.
Exactly.
And so I'm always happy when somebody does better than me because they made better choices.
Now, can you hear the music?
I can hear it, yeah.
Okay.
It's not that bad. I don't, it doesn't bother me if it's not bothering you.
Well, it doesn't bother me, except it might bother YouTube.
I've not been given a strike yet, so it'd be my first strike if I got one. We're not going to worry about that. It takes 3 strikes or so. It takes like 3 strikes for it to really bother you, and so it doesn't bother me. But now you actually got more hair than I do. See, that's why I wear the hat so it doesn't blind people. But he's going to close his door. So you said you'd never seen a painted label before, huh? But actually, that's all we drank when I was in the Navy there, and Subic Bay was painted label. And you're all right, but you never seen one, huh? I wonder if they still make it.
I don't know. All I see is, well, I don't drink, so.
Okay. I'm gonna say it seems like more people are drinking Red Horse now, but when I was in, everybody was drinking San Miguel.
Well, San Miguel is better than Red Horse, from what I've been told.
Yeah. Well, that's what I would drink would be San Miguel because it's what I drank before. Now, I don't drink much at all anymore. So, like I said, if I get down to little Manila in New York City, I'll see if they have it there. I just buy it just because it's been, oh God. Well, about almost 50 years since I've had one. I'd say about 48, 49 years since I've had a San Miguel. I was in San Diego. I left San Diego in 77. And it was either 77 is when I left San Diego. So it was either 76 or 77 is the last time I had a San Miguel. So it's been a very long time since I had one. And so I wouldn't mind having one just to have one, you know. But like I said, I don't drink by myself. So I would bring it home to drink it if I'm going to drink by myself. I wouldn't want to try to travel with it, drink it. But just and if they got a painted label, I'll definitely bring it on and show it to you. But I don't know if they still make painted label.
Now, I have a question for you.
All right, go ahead.
Do you watch the Charlie Brown Christmas special?
I have, but I didn't see it this year. You talking about the
Okay.
one with the little tree that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay. Now, in it, there's Charlie Brown screaming, "Does anybody know what the meaning of Christmas is all about?" Right?
Yeah.
And then Linus gets up and he gives his idea.
Dissertation, yeah.
Did you know that is an actual Bible quote?
No, I didn't know, but it didn't surprise me.
It actually is.
Yeah. I
That
believe
is
it.
Luke 8 through 15. Nowadays, you couldn't put Bible quotes in a
No, you couldn't.
special.
Oh no, it's old enough that they'll leave it in, but yeah, I don't. I just noticed. I can't remember if it's Netflix or who, but somebody's trying to do redo the "It's a Wonderful Life," but they're doing it with a woman as the main character, a woman of color. Why redo a classic? I mean, I don't mind. I don't know if you've seen Bass Reeves, U.S. Marshal. It's about a black man who was a U.S. Marshal back in the 1800s, based on a true story. I love the movie. I mean, not movie. It's a TV series. I love it, but it's based on true story. You're not changing history. Don't if you're going to do something new. Don't go back and try to change a beloved classic.
You can't change a classic.
They're trying. They're trying all the time over here. I mean,
Okay.
like there's a movie about it's about these two balloonists who set some record, and it's loosely based, and I say loosely based on real people. It's a real event But the thing is, it was two men. They took one of the men and made it a woman just because they had to have the diversity. I mean, the women have done a lot in this world. Make movies about those women. You know, Harriet Tubman did a lot. Madame Curie. What was the name of the lady that worked with? Maybe it was Madame Curie, but the one that worked with nuclear died from.
That was Madame Curie.
That's what I was thinking. That was her. But you got Joan of Arc. You've got there was a Scottish queen that did a lot. That deserves be a good movie about her. There's a,
Make it a little bit more modern. Make it about.
Make it about true people. There's enough history.
Make it about the women that were in the Women's Army Auxiliary Air Corps.
Yeah.
That were flying the flying shuttles to shuttle aircraft from, aircraft manufacturers to Air Force Army Air Corps bases.
Yeah. Well, there's also there's a story in the Philippines involving women during World War II, women and men both, but that would make a good movie. You ever see the movie The Great Raid? I can't think of the guy's name.
I don't believe so.
All right, The Great Raid is about the biggest prisoner of war rescue in the history of mankind, of U.S. history.
Oh, that was that was right down just outside of Manila.
Yeah. Well, one of the characters in that movie was based on a woman who ran. She was an American nurse, and then a bunch of Filipinos all were together, and she ran one of the underground resistant group. Now, a lot of the resistant group was killed, but not all. That would be an interesting movie to show how they got started, how they did it. There was nurses that served in, that were captured and had to, under the Japanese, had to do. Those stories would be interesting. There's enough history there that you can go in and do history where you have strong women characters as the lead without changing actual history.
Now, tell you what, I'll give you some history, local area history for me.
Okay.
About maybe 5 kilometers from where I live right now is where the idea of the kamikaze suicide bombers was developed.
Okay.
Now, unfortunately, that place is now a Jollibee or a pizzeria or something. But I mean, they actually trained the kamikaze pilots at Clark Field.
I guess they found a World War II Japanese plane off the airplane airfield of Dumaguete. Who was it? I want to say, you ever watch Mike's Philippine Retirement?
No.
He was talking with a guy that he's really interested in history and World War II, and he does a lot of diving and stuff. And he found out about this, and he went out and videoed it. And so it's his channel, but I saw some of the video. They showed it on Mike's channel. And they think what happened was they were training some pilots, the Japanese pilots, and it crashed out there, and they just left it because it was right around the time that the Americans were coming back from what they could figure out. And but it was just what happened was they found out about it. Some fisherman was out there fishing, and he pulled up part of the plane.
Yeah, I've heard of stuff like that.
Yeah.
In fact, they could probably find a few Japanese planes on Clark right now.
Yeah, probably. You find some Japanese tunnels around that area, I'm sure.
Well, there's a place. It's about,
There was in Subic.
there's a place about, I want to say, 10 kilometers away. 6 miles, and it's the grotto in Banban. And there are tunnels. The grotto is a religious shrine,
Yeah.
and you have to climb up like 186 steps or something.
In other
It's
words,
up
it would kill me to climb up there.
It just about kills me.
Yeah.
But off the side of the stairway, maybe 30, 40 yards away, there's a cave complex, and they have yet to find the end of the cave.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen on television and documentaries, they were showing the caves that the Japanese built,
Yeah.
and this had the classic build of the Japanese cave system.
There's a YouTube channel. I can't think of the name of it. I've watched a couple of them that they explore some of the caves they find and how they carve it out, and they go in to show how over here you can tell that it was set up for a hospital or people to sleep. That
Yeah.
they go in and looking at the different places. And but yeah, it was one of those history type things that they go out and explore that stuff. Yeah, that stuff's interesting. I mean, because it's part of the world history. It's not just our history. It's the Philippines history. The whole world was involved pretty much.
Oh yeah.
In a lot of this. And when I was in the Philippines, like I said, at Subic Bay, there was areas there that you could find that were, from World War II, and they were not. They didn't want you going in them, but you could go up to them.
Now, there was, up until about 3 years ago, there was a Japanese man that lived on that mountain where the grotto is, and he was one of the last Japanese to surrender in the Philippines. He went home, then he came back after 5 or so years, and he lived the rest of his life there.
It probably was too different from when he went home. It was probably just too strange to him. You take these prisoners that go in at a young age, and they stay in there for years, and some of them will commit a crime when they get out after a while, just so they can go back in because they miss that structure. And just that's home. The prison's home.
They don't recognize anything.
Yeah, they've been institutionalized. It's like, I can't survive out here on my own. I need to be in the prison. We had a guy we called Drunk Eddie back home. I guess his name was Eddie. Everybody called him Drunk Eddie. And during the summer months, he'd be out wandering, doing things. He never caused trouble. But when it got towards winter, he'd commit a crime so he could get locked up for the winter. Every winter he'd do that until he died. But I don't know if it's because he was institutionalized or he just so drunk that he knew that he couldn't survive on the streets during the winter. But he'd do it just to get locked up for the winter.
Well, that happens.
Oh yeah, like I said, I mean, that's back when I was a kid. So the guy's been dead for years now. I mean, I'm talking back when I was a teenager and in my 20s. This guy was known as that. So we're talking almost. Well, when I first heard of him, it was about 50 years ago or more. And he never caused trouble. He rode a bicycle around and got drunk and he never tried to pick a fight, or he was always polite to women. So most people, left him alone, and every once in a while some idiot would try to pick on him, and if there was, depending on who was around, some people would stand up for him. My father was being one of them. Because like I said, he was always polite to my mom. He was always polite to every woman, and he didn't cause trouble. So it was like, leave the man alone. You know, he's not hurting anybody but himself. I've been going almost 2 hours.
Yeah. And there's just the two of us.
Yeah. Well, like I said, well, back when I first started doing this, and I did it by myself, and I could go 2 to 4 hours. And then when Leonard, if you remember Leonard,
Oh, yeah.
Leonard and I would sometimes go 4 to 6 hours. So I mean, but that's why I got I went ahead and got the premium uh, StreamYard where I have my picture instead of the duck because I was going 4 or 5 hours on a regular basis, and on the free you could only do 20, and so I was coming very close to only doing 20 hours a month without. And it's like, well, I'll pay them a little money every month, and that way, no matter how long I go, it doesn't matter because I got unlimited time.
Now,
I could have like 9 to 10 people up here counting myself.
I have StreamYard. I just don't remember how to use it.
So you use YouTube then?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing wrong with that. I've done YouTube as well. I do StreamYard, but I don't know. I just started using it, and lets me set up a Nightbot, and you probably could do it with you Nightbot with YouTube, I think. But I like I'll give everybody a. If I notice they don't have a jacket, I'll give them a jacket. But all they got to do is type in LLL, and my Nightbot drops their channel. And I got that from Sammy. Sammy helped me set that up. Because you know Sammy, so like I said, she helped me set that up. Sammy's been a real good friend. I met Sammy through Dan, and Dan I met through Chris and Sabu, who no longer does any YouTube. And
Yeah.
same thing with Dodger Blue. I met him through Chris and Sabu. Well, I probably met more people through Dan now. Back when I first started, it was more through Chris. A lot of my followers were through Chris, Dan, and Sammy. Now it's probably more through Dan than anybody else.
Sekbuchi.
Yeah, Seth Bucci's here. She comes all the time. We appreciate her. Crystal comes all the time. Des comes once in a while.
I know Crystal's
Larice comes
hiding
once
in
in a
the
while.
background.
Yeah, Crystal's here a lot. She supports me quite a bit. I appreciate that. So does Larice Jusey. She supports me quite a bit. Seth Bucci comes in a lot. LV is a big supporter. And ABCM, but she doesn't come to the live stream very often, but once in a while. She's a big supporter. So is Charmaine. She was here earlier. Percy is here. So I get a lot of regulars on this. I don't get a lot of people, but I do get a lot of regulars. And like I said, I don't do this for the money. I'm not monetized. I don't care if I ever get monetized. I don't plan. I started my channel for one reason. When I retire, I want something to do that I enjoy, to get my butt up off the couch and go do something. And so I thought, well, let's give YouTube a try. If I like it, I'll give you something to do. Like I said, I've been working. Well, I got my first real job at 15. Got fired up 2 weeks later. Got my next job at 16, and I've been working pretty much, either working or going to school pretty much ever since. So I've either been working full-time or part-time for well over 50 years. I'm ready to retire when I get everything situated. But I'm going to have something to do. It's either that or I'm going to become a couch potato, and I don't want to do that.
Well, tell you what, Larry, I'll be the couch potato. You be somebody that goes and does stuff.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm not looking to go out every day and chase down. I want something that I can, like I said, this is part of YouTube. This is what I enjoy the most, right here. The live stream, the videoing. Well, right now everything's pretty much routine to me. So I mean, it's kind of hard for me to figure out what am I going to show other people, except for the holidays. I love the holiday decorations. They give me a lot to show. Now, when I go to New York City or there's a special event going on, that's something to show. But everyday life, I struggle to find something to put up every week.
Now, my house is the only house that has decorations outside.
All right. I don't have any decorations, but I live in an apartment building. I don't, how shall I say this? It's kind of hard for me um, to store the decorations. All right.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to buy like a little 3 or 4 foot tree, put it on top of my table because I don't have room in my living room for a regular size tree unless I take my kitchen table down. So I'd have to put it on top of my table. And then where do I store it for the rest of the year? So it just,
Yeah.
I could do it. I mean, I could find a place to put it away, I guess. But like I said, I want to retire, hopefully in 3 years. And do I want to go out and buy a tree that I have to get rid of in 3 years? What do I do with it? I'm not taking it to the Philippines with me. You know, it's not worth that. You know what I'm saying?
No.
You want to take less over there than you don't want to take everything with you. And
I brought
so-
a lot of stuff here, and there's a lot of stuff I could probably throw out and get rid of my storeroom and my shelving.
Well, like I said, I mean, I'm not going to take my bed. I'm not going to take my couch. I'm not going to take my recliner. But I bought those brand new 3 years. By the time I'm ready to go, they'll be around 6 years old. So I got my money's worth out of them. They're in good shape still. So hopefully, if they're still in good shape, I'll give them to somebody. I'm not going to try to sell it. My TV, it'll be 4 or 5 years old by that time. I mean, you know, I'm not going to take it with me.
No.
I got I have a coffee table that I will either take with me or I'll give it to somebody in my family. That coffee table is at least 65 years old. Okay?
Well, give that to somebody.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'll either give it to somebody in my family or take it with me.
It'll get damaged on its way here.
Yeah, I'll probably just give it to one of my nephews or my niece. I'm not sure which.
It's like I'm looking at a wooden box that I bought years ago, and it was made in 1903 or 1908.
Well, like I said, my dad bought this coffee table, and it originally had a glass top to it. It like set down inside the table. It has a little lift up,
Yeah.
so the glass wouldn't come out.
Yeah.
But us kids were very young. Like I said, if I was 5, that means my brother was a baby. Now I might have been a little older, so it might only be a little over 60 years old. I don't remember never being in the family. That's why I'm saying it's probably around 65. Might have been even older. I might have been the baby. Me and my older brother. We might have been the little ones. But Dad didn't want the glass because he was afraid us kids would break it and cut ourselves. So he's got the coffee table without the glass. And I never did replace the glass because it was never there. So right now I'm using it as a TV stand. I mean, it's very sturdy. My TV sits on top of it. It's like I said, it's over 60 years old, about 65 years old or older, and it is extremely sturdy still. It's, you know, it's one of those. Back in those days, they really made things to last.
Exactly.
And
It wasn't a disposable society.
no. Nowadays they make it to last until you get it paid off, and then it breaks down so you can buy another one. You know, that's pretty much the way they do things now. I think. Well, let's see. It'll take you 5 years to pay this off, so it'll last 5 years and 6 months. You know, and then they'll have to buy a new one. You know, and sometimes they miscalculate and it breaks down before you get it paid off. And, it's like the cars. My cousin George, he had an old '62 Nova station wagon. Okay, it was built like a tank. We had a one of those guard posts on the highway. They put a little dent in the bumper and bent that guard post back and barely dented the bumper. It was during the winter. We hit some ice and slid into it. This is up in Iowa. He lived in Iowa at that time. He lives back home now in Terre Haute, but this is back when we were teenagers. His family lived in Iowa for years, and we were out running around with him and another friend. And during the winter, this was back when this is right after, this is in January, February of '72. It was after I graduated from high school. I graduated in January '72. I went up and spent about a month with my cousins in Iowa before I went in the Navy. And it was during that time frame. It's like I said, it was during the winter. it was a trip, but that car was. Hey Anna G, how you doing, Anna? That car was built now. I mean,
Well, like you
I don't
said,
know why
everything's disposable.
Yeah, everything nowadays. Yeah, you got fiberglass bodies and stuff like that, or cheap aluminum bodies. Because they want to make it lighter and so better gas, fuel economy and all that. And I understand wanting better fuel economy, but they really do sacrifice a lot of safety or longevity on the vehicles too. And,
Preparing for Christmas Eve.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's what, Sunday morning over there, so it's Christmas Eve tonight for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, Anna G. So, yeah, it's I'm just gonna stay here at my place. I don't know. I may run up to my sister's and she lives in a little place called Elba. You may know of because you're from Batavia. I mean, Buffalo,
Yeah.
right? You know where Batavia's at. It's outside of Batavia.
Yeah.
Elba
Well,
is.
My aunt lived in Batavia,
So
and
you know of Elba then.
well,
I'm not
went
saying you've
there.
been there, but you know of it.
Okay. Do you know all the?
Elba's about 8 miles outside of Batavia.
Yeah. But you know all the land that the public schools are on in
Yeah.
Batavia?
Yeah.
My aunt donated that to the city.
Okay. Well, the school corporation, my nephew is their lawyer. He negotiates the contracts between the school corporations and the teachers. My nephew's a labor lawyer.
Ooh,
And, yeah, he
sounds
lives in Elba, but he works out of Rochester. So, and both his sons now are in college. So he's spending a pretty penny right now with 2 kids in college.
Oh yeah.
But, now, you've heard of the muck farming, right?
Yeah.
All right. My nephew's wife's family is one of the first families to ever farm the muck. They own a whole lot of farmland, but they gave up farming. They rent it out now instead of doing it themselves. And his wife used to run the farming, the cold storage area for her father. He took care of the farm. Then he wanted to give up farming, and none of her brothers or sisters wanted to help, so she gave up. They just gave it up because my nephew didn't want her running the farm part. So they were in the cold storage for a while longer, than they finally gave that up too. But,
Farming is a hard life.
Oh yeah, but that's what she did for years, and that was, like you said, it's a job. That's all there is to it. Even with the kid, without the kids, she was working hard.
Well, it's like my aunt that lived in Batavia. Her and her husband had a evergreen nursery.
Okay.
They raised all kinds of plants and trees. And my brother, my oldest brother, he was a landscaper. He would go up to her nursery to get specialty trees. And at 90 years old, she could dig a tree faster than he could.
I can't say that about my mother at 90. She wasn't that quick. Now, she's not, like I said, she'll be 98 next month. But
Well, my aunt was very, very hardworking lady. We finally talked her into hiring somebody to help her with her operations.
Yeah.
She hired a great big strong guy, we said, great. He stayed in the office and did the books.
Well, he helped her with the operation. Probably the part she didn't like. Now you're talking about, being healthy. My mom's older brother, my Uncle Everett, now he died at 92. But at 90, his wife could be sitting on the floor. He'd just reach his hand down and pull her right up without, any sweat at all. He just lifted her up off the floor with one hand. Let's go.
But my aunt had a very unusual distinction. She went to Hawaii many, many, many years ago. And she was the first person to buy a ticket for the Don Ho show the first day it opened.
Okay.
And
Tiny bubbles.
every year on that day, she would be there, front row center, every day.
Yeah.
And they would
Don
reserve
Ho was a very famous singer in Hawaii. Very famous.
Yeah. But she did that and she died like 3 days before the anniversary show. And he dedicated the entire show to my aunt.
That's cool. They got to know her then. And she was there every year.
They never sold her seat.
Oh, wow. That is special. Like I said, though, he got to know her because she was there every year, But, yeah. It's terrible what happened this year in Hawaii, though. That fire,
Oh,
that's bad.
I agree.
And, I mean, there was speculation that they knew that could happen and didn't clean that area up. And
Well, okay.
I'm
that
gonna
was
I'm gonna still be here. I'm just gonna stop my camera for a minute. So
Okay.
I'm here. I'm just gonna be off camera. I got to do something real quick. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just right here. I had to straighten something out.
But those fires in Hawaii were the perfect storm, basically. And I have friends that live in Hawaii, and they said most of it was man-made.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was they had an area that needed to be cleaned out. They didn't clean it out. They knew it was a hazardous. That like the growth, there was overgrowth, and they never cleaned it up. And they knew about it, and then they didn't deliver all the water that like they should have. They wanted to make sure other areas had water. It's like,
Hey,
no,
look
right?
who's here. Look
Who?
who's here.
Elvie.
Elvie.
Yeah, she was here earlier.
Oh,
LV,
okay.
LV. I think she dropped off, but she came back. LV. Yes, like I said, LV's a big supporter.
Oh, yes.
Her and ABCM and Charmaine and Lady, even and some of these others. All of everybody's here is a big supporter, but some of them actually share my videos and stuff like that.
Well, I see a few of them commenting on my videos
Yeah,
once in a while.
Yeah, and so I always appreciate that. I try to comment on all your videos when I watch them. I may not, but I try.
Well, I know how busy you are and your
like
crazy work schedule.
Yeah. Well, right now I'm back on day shift, thankfully. 7 to 3. I was 3 to 11 for a long time, working Sunday through Thursday. I didn't mind having a Friday, Saturday off, but I would prefer to Sunday, Monday. Football season, American football. And oh, by the way, Bills are playing tonight. Matter of fact, they're playing right now.
Yeah, how they doing?
I don't know. I don't have the game on. I'm rooting for them. I'm a Colts fan, but I like to root for the Bills.
Well, tell you what, give me a minute.
Yeah, I think the game started at 8 o'clock your time, 7 o'clock my time, right when I came on.
Ouch. It's 10-7 Chargers.
Chargers? That sucks.
Yep.
Come on, Bills.
Now, that's with 41 seconds left in the second quarter.
Okay, so it's still first half.
Yeah.
Okay, plenty of time. But yeah, I'll root for the Bills, and I root for the Bills unless it hurts my Colts. It's that simple. I'll root for the Bills every game they play unless it's going to hurt my team. My oldest sister is a Bills fan. Her whole family. That's the ones that live in Elba. They're all huge Bills fans. One of the few pro football games I went to, it was my second pro football game, was the Buffalo Bills against the Philadelphia Eagles in Buffalo at the Ralph. It was still known as the Ralph back then. I won tickets. I won 4 tickets to the Buffalo Bills game. And how I did that, do you know the Tops grocery stores?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured they were around before you left. They're out of Buffalo. That's where they originated. Tops originated in Buffalo. Well, they started selling gas at a lot of the, not all the stores, but a lot of the stores added gas stations. And when they added that, if you filled up with 8 gallons or more, you can enter a chance to win free Buffalo Bills games. This is back when the year I won the tickets. This is back around 2000. And this is the same year that Drew Bledsoe was the first year he started for Buffalo. Okay?
Okay.
This is back, that tells you about when it was. And I went in, I filled up my car. It was more than 8 gallons. So I signed up the paperwork and gave it to him. Forgot all about it. And at that time, I had my sister's address as my permanent home address. So I put her address down because I was still moving around some. And I figured until I settle down and get my own place and live by myself, I'm just going to leave her address as my permanent address because I moved in that area. I probably lived in about 8 houses, eight apartments. And until I moved into the place I was at in Leroy before I moved down here. I lived there for about 15 years. And I was living somewhere else before that. And my sister calls me up. I'm at work, and she goes, "Hey, Larry, I got something here from Tops. You expecting anything?" And I'd forgot all about the ticket. I really had. I said, "No, open it up and see what it says." She goes, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I don't think I've not done anything wrong. So open it up, find out what it is." And so she opened it up. She goes, "Oh, there's 4 tickets here to the Buffalo Bills Philadelphia Eagles game." I said, "We'll see if John and the boys want to go because we'll go to the game." That's her husband and her 2 kids. So the one son, the lawyer, is I had to have some kind of meeting that Sunday. I don't know if one of the law partners passed away or there was some big meeting about something that he couldn't get out of. So my nephew Tim, my brother-in-law John, myself, and then a friend of theirs from church, the 4 of us went. Tailgated, naturally, you had to have a tailgate, and then went to the game. It was a great time. I heard the worst insult a Buffalo Bills fan could give Drew Bledsoe, the worst insult ever. He, I think he got sacked or something, and the fan yelled out, "Rob Johnson would have done a better job." And you know how much the Bills fans hated Rob Johnson.
Yeah. Now, the first football game I ever saw, I don't remember who the Bills were playing, but just remember back in the day at Old Rock Pile.
Oh, yeah, that's before the Rock Pile.
At the Rock Pile.
Yeah.
And Jack Kemp was quarterback.
Okay, yeah, that's way back.
That's early 60s.
Yeah. Now, the first game I ever went to in person, I was still in the Navy. I was stationed up in Pacific Beach, Washington. All right. Now, Pacific Beach, Washington was the base I was telling you about where I was at when I got out.
Mm-hmm.
It's about 110 miles from either Seattle and then 100 miles from Portland or vice versa. You needed to move it 5 miles one way or the other. It would put a dead center between the two cities. Well, through the special services of the Navy, I was able to get a couple tickets to the San Diego Chargers Seattle Seahawks game. This is back when Seattle was still considered an expansion team. This is back in
Yeah.
'78, I want to say. But anyway, I knew a guy that had a van, and he said he'd be willing to drive if I bought the tickets. So I bought the tickets. The tickets weren't real expensive. They weren't real cheap back then, but they weren't real expensive. So we went to the game. And this is before Seattle really built up their fan base real big. And it might have been a preseason game even, but I doubt it because they were in the same division. So we're at the game, and we're up in the nosebleed seat, right? And there's almost nobody in the stadium. So we moved down closer. And the only reason anybody said anything says, like I said, we're at a Seattle game for the Chargers. So an usher come along and looked at our tickets and said, "You got to go back up." And the Chargers beat them bad. I mean, I forget how many years it was before Seattle ever beat the Chargers. But that's back when Dan Fouts was still playing, Eric Coryell, all them.
Now, I've never seen the Buffalo Bills win a football game if I've gone to the game in person.
Oh, wow.
I've never seen the Buffalo Sabres lose when I've gone to a game in person.
I'd rather have a reverse. You know, the reason for that being, if it was me, I would go to more Bills games. I would never go to the Sabres games. I'm not a hockey fan. Because where I grew up, nobody played hockey. You know, so we just didn't play hockey in southern Indiana. You just don't do it. It doesn't get cold enough to freeze the lakes or anything. And so a lot of us don't ice skate because there's no ice skating rink. There might be now, but there wasn't when I was growing up.
I played street hockey when I was a kid.
Well, like I said, though, nobody played hockey, so there was no street hockey even. The most I ever watched about skating would have probably been roller derby, you know. But I did watch that some, but I was not a big fan of it either. The games that you guys play that we didn't play where I'm from, that I would be a fan of, was lacrosse. I'd be a fan of lacrosse. That looks like a fun game to watch.
We didn't play lacrosse.
Well, they do now. But yeah, it's not. But I would enjoy that game because there's a little more bumping and hitting so I'll tell you the truth. When I watch hockey, I don't mind the game. It just I'd rather watch hockey in the Olympics or college because there's less fighting.
Holy cow!
What's that?
Okay, remember how I said it was 10-7?
Yeah.
10-14.
All right.
At halftime.
Now I wonder who gets the ball to start the second half.
Probably the Chargers.
Well, it depends on who had it the first half to start. It doesn't matter who scored last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in football, one team will get to start the game, and the other team will get to start the second half. So hopefully it's the Bills, because then they can go up 41-10 if they can score again and start putting this game away. Yeah, my team plays tomorrow at 1:00 in the afternoon, which would be 2:00 in the morning your guys' time, Christmas morning. So,
Now I don't watch the games.
it depends on what's going on. I try to watch my Colts if I can, but I usually have to watch them on my cell phone because I have it set up where I can watch it free. Now, if they happen to be on local TV, then I can watch it. but usually the Colts aren't on local TV because I'm in areas that are going to have the Giants, the Jets, the Bills. They're going to show those games. So I usually don't get to see my Colts on TV. I have to watch them on my cell phone.
Now, I saw a picture on Facebook last night or this morning, and it showed when they shut the Niagara Falls off.
Yeah.
That was 1969, I think.
Somewhere back in the 60s, yeah.
I remember that. I went to see it.
No, that's before I ever went. That's before I even had family out here. My sister moved out here in 70. I want to say 73. Both my nephews were born in Indiana, and the youngest one was born in 72. So it was sometime after May of 72 they moved out to Batavia. Sylvania, the TV company Sylvania used to be in Batavia. Now my oldest brother-in-law was a electrical engineer or electronic engineer, one of those things. He designed TVs. That's what he did for a living. He worked for RCA, and he worked for a couple other things. And then Sylvania, I think he might have worked for Zenith too. But Sylvania hired him away from those other companies and moved him out to Buffalo. I mean, not Buffalo, but Batavia. And then they had their house built out in Elba because it was only like 8 miles away, and they lived out in the country, which is what my brother-in-law preferred. And my sister thought it'd be good for the kids to be out there. And so that's where they live, and they're still living there. And my youngest nephew and I was sitting around at my sister's house, and we were talking about where we would prefer to live. And he said, "Oh, I'm a country boy." And he said, Mom would stay right here where she's at, And I said, "No, your mom's a city girl. If it was strictly up to her, she'd be living in the city." He goes, "Oh, Mom, tell him." He goes, "Oh, yeah, I'd live in the city." But this is where it was best for you guys and your husband, your dad. So this is where we live. She goes, "But I would have lived in the city." And that's kind of shocked him because, she never complained. Where they lived, they had a nice place. But if it was strictly her, she would be in the city like myself. I'm a city boy. Now, I prefer a small city, but, or a large town, one or the other, like 100,000 people, somewhere around that. That would be me. 100,000 to a couple of million, that's it. Anything bigger than that's too big, and anything smaller might be a little bit too small. Now, my hometown's only about 80,000 people, so I can live in somewhere.
Well, I hope somebody else comes in and comes up because
No. I think I'm just. If you're ready to drop down, I think I'll just go ahead and end it. I've been going about 2.5 hours, and everybody's got things to do to get ready for Christmas. But I want to thank you for coming up and joining me. It was nice to have you here. You're welcome up every time I have a live stream. If you want to pop up. You can stay as long as you want.
I'm on the desktop. I don't usually get turn the desktop even on.
Yeah. Well, I get on the desktop for my live streams, and I used to watch TV and everything on my desktop until I set my TV. I had my TV for almost a year before I even set it up. Okay, so I'm not lying. It was set in my. I got a closet, or a storage closet. It's actually what it is. It's a small one. It was just sitting right in there for almost a year, and it just sat there. And I finally got around to setting it up in the living room, and so now I watch TV in there all the time. But before that, I was sitting right here every day. I got my Keurig coffee maker behind me right there, and I get up in the morning and I drink coffee and watch TV and get on YouTube and all that. Now I do that in the living room, and but I still come in here and my earplug came out. But I still come in here and do it once in a while just to do something a little different. I'll come in here, especially if I just want to, because I got a coffee mug warmer right here I can turn on and keep my coffee warm as I'm doing stuff. I'm trying to learn how to download my videos to my desktop from the phone directly. All right, so I can do some editing on my computer.
download them from your desktop.
Yeah, I got to take it from here and download it directly. Not do it from here, but do it from here. You plug
Don't-
this in and you plug it into something else and you download it.
I don't know how to do that myself.
Yeah, well, there's a way to do it. I just got to figure it. I've been told how to do it. I just got to see how I can do it with my computer or my phone. And
Okay, Larry.
Once I can do that, then I can go to YouTube and do all my editing right on YouTube itself. And so I can do a little bit better editing of it. So
Tell you what,
what's that?
can you, if you have the videos on your phone, can you Bluetooth them to your desktop?
Well, they say the best way is to take a cord to cord. So you take you just do it from here, then you plug it into your phone, your
Yeah.
computer, and then you download it directly from your to the desktop, and then you take that and put it to YouTube. So I
Tell
just
you
got to
what.
make sure I can figure out how to do that. It's gonna have to. Maybe I'll do it on these 3 days off. Maybe I won't.
Tell you what, Larry, here's an idea. Do you have a free USB port on your desktop?
I got one, yes, but I'm trying to see if they say the best way to do it. Because when I transferred everything from my old phone to this one, it was a C drive to a C drive, and so if I can do that, I'll do that. If not, I'll do an A to a C. I'll use a C here and the A on the computer. It's just something I gotta. What I'll probably do is I'll probably take an old one or an old one or two that I've already uploaded and see if that way if I screw it up, it's already uploaded on YouTube. YouTube is already out there.
Yes. Good idea.
So I don't want to take one of the new ones. So I just got to get in there and get the energy on my day. I'll tell you the truth. A lot of times on my first day off, I wouldn't have done anything today, but a friend called me and needed help. Her nephew was in the hospital. Her nephew's only about 4 years old, going on 5, and his mom and dad were both at the hospital, but they didn't have their car with them. And she wanted to take him some food in case the kid wasn't released because he'd been in the emergency room. He'd been real sick. So I was taking her there, and they got released as we were going down there. So we picked them up and took them home, and I took her home after that and came back. But if she hadn't called to ask for my help, I'd have stayed home. I probably took a nap before I came in, got on because I usually on my first day off, I don't do much of anything. I really don't leave the apartment sometimes. And it's my lazy day, Remember, my name is Lazy Larry Lee. So I got to have a lazy day, right?
Well, tell you what, speaking of lazy, I will let you relax and get lazy.
All right, then. Thanks for coming
Take
up.
care,
Like I said,
Larry.
any
Take
Saturday
care,
I'm on.
everybody.
All right. Any Saturday I'm on, you're more than welcome to come up. Jerry comes up once in a while. Dan used to come up more often than he does, but he's getting ready to travel. And,
Yeah.
Mac Daddy used to come up. I need to find out what's going on with him. I haven't talked to him in a while, so I'll have to send him a PM here pretty soon. And all right, everybody. As you can see, Tim went ahead and checked out, so we're glad Tim came. And like I said, I've been going a little over 2.5 hours, so I want to thank you all for coming. I want to wish you a Merry Christmas once again. And hopefully I'll see you next week. It'll be for New Year's. If not, have a Happy New Year's. And remember to take care of each other. Take care of yourself. Be kind to each other. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Plus, as always, try to have fun. Merry Christmas, everybody. Take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.